He is the oldest son of Imam Sadiq, alayhi salam. Now, this claim is not my own claim. So this claim that Abdullah is actually the older son of Imam Sadiq, this is not something I invented. I will provide a link from the website of Sayyid Muhammad Hussein Fadlullah. Well, I do not necessarily adhere to, I have to make a disclaimer. The same thing I did when I provided a link about one of the hadiths found on the website. I provided a link containing an explanation from Sheikh Yasser al-Habib. So, I said even if he's controversial, he presented a good explanation. So, I will adopt this explanation on a certain hadith which I highlighted, I think 2 nights ago. Similarly, on this website, bayinat.org of Sayyid Muhammad Hussein Fadlullah, even if he's controversial, he's mentioning there that Abdullah al-Aftah, he was the oldest son of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. Now, let's even, go further on this point and say that Ismail was actually the oldest son. Does this actually prove his Imamah? Well, yeah, we have a hadith that the Imamah is in the oldest son if he does not have a defect. But now, this hadith is talking about a living son. Ismail was dead. So if they want to actually argue on the basis that Ismail, he was the oldest son, so therefore it's a bet right, because this is actually the idea which I get reading through the Ismaili website. So if they want to actually argue on this basis, then this actually will not work out well for them, because on the Ismaili website, the name of Imam Hassan is not found in the list of Imams. So they do not consider Imam Hassan alayhi salam to be an Imam. That's point number 1. Number 2, Imam Zainul Abidin, who is our 4th Imam, he was not the oldest son of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So Imam Zainul Abidin was the 2nd. And you cannot tell me, Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam was martyred in Karbala, so that is why. Well, in actually a hadith, a ziyarah of Ali al-Akbar, which we actually have from Kamil al-Ziyarat, there is a sahih chain from Abi Hamza al-Thumali, from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, that says Ali al-Akbar, or that implies that Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam actually had descendants. It's actually, the ziyarah actually sends salam to Ali al-Akbar and his offspring. So anyhow, you try to look at it, this does not actually prove anything. Even if we succumb to their argument that, Ismail was the oldest, without taking into attention any side arguments or any differences on this, any different opinion on this subject, still it doesn't really prove anything for them, especially going by the fact that 2 past Imams, one who was the eldest, they don't consider him an Imam. Then the 4th Imam, he wasn't the oldest son. And the Imamah didn't either go to the children of Imam Hassan, the Imamah didn't go to the children of Ali al-Akbar alayhimus salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would, I will comment today's, I just touched on that, quickly, but that's just a side argument, because the brother was contesting the point yesterday, because I mentioned that that Ismail is not, or was not, the oldest son of Imam Sadiq. But I would commence today's presentation proper based on where I stopped yesterday. So I think it was at point 3A. So I will paste the link on the room chat so you can read along if you want to. So inshallah tonight I would finish responding to their points. This is day 4 on the Ismailis. So as I said, the point about whether Ismail was oldest or not, this was a side point which I touched on. So point 3A, it says Ismail's death before Imam Ja'far is not confirmed and may have been staged to protect him, as he was reportedly seen by eyewitnesses after his alleged death. Actually, the irony of this statement is the fact that Agha Khanis do not actually believe that that Ismail actually outlived his father. They don't hold this position. So I don't know why they are trying, to muddy the water here. But as we actually go on, you will actually realize the possible reason. Then under 3A, it says the year and cause of Ismail's death remain unknown and unverified. Many sources which claim that Ismail died in the lifetime of Imam Sadiq also report that eyewitnesses saw Ismail 3 days later. So this is also, trying to muddy the water, because as you may see, or you will actually realize, on this same website, we've actually mentioned the hadith, and I have also provided the hadith, I think yesterday, on the procedures which Imam Sadiq undertook in order to prove to his companions that his son was actually dead. So on what basis am I going to actually listen to certain claims that Ismail did not die or he was actually seen somewhere, when there is actually a clear response to this by Imam Sadiq himself? On what basis are we going to hold this claim credible while we have authentic narrations, reliable narrations, whereby these narrations actually pointed to the details of the funeral procession or the funeral rites that Imam Sadiq gave to his son? He showed the face of Ismail before the ghusl, the ghusl janaza, the bathing of the dead, of the corpse. He showed his companions to verify, and they were 30 in number. Then on the way to bury him, he again showed the face. Then when they placed him into the grave, or about placing him into the grave, again, they unveiled the face of Ismail. So this was a physical proof that Ismail was dead. Then after the burial, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam again asked them that who is the person in the grave? They said Ismail. So with all this, procedures, how are we going to, ascertain any fact in life if we are going to, just deny that, oh, well, somebody claims that he saw him somewhere? Did Imam Sadiq ever said, or did he ever confirm this? Did a Ma'asum ever confirm this, that he did not die? Now, they believe their line of Imams till the 49th, the Aga Khan, they believe that they are ma'sumin. Did any of their ma'sums actually believe in this? They don't. So why are you raising this on your website in order to muddy the water? So, of course, they are quoting here, the nas of their co-director, who they present as a 12th Shi'i. His name is Farhad Daftari. They present this guy as a 12th. He's the co-director of the Ismaili Institute. I don't think it's even worth reading, because I think it really doesn't make sense. But anyway, let's just go through what he's saying. The exact date and the circumstances of Ismail's death also remain unknown. That's not true. You just need to go maybe to biographical books. You will get the date there. It's not even worth wasting time over. The cause of his death, well, we have reports that he was actually killed. This is the truth. In other words, he was killed by the Abbasid caliphs or caliphate. According to some Ismaili authors, Ismail survived Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. Well, that's according to them. However, the majority of sources report that he predeceased his father. Oh, well, now this is a contradiction. He predeceased his father and was buried in the Baqi' cemetery. Many Ismaili and non-Ismaili sources repeat the story of how, before and during Ismail's funeral procession, the Imam al-Sadiq made deliberate attempts to show the face of his dead son to witnesses. Though some of the same sources also relate reports indicating that Ismail was seen in Basra soon afterwards. طيب, we will go to this hadith inshallah. 3b. I think we can go to this hadith. Let's see what the hadith actually says. It's actually a very long hadith, but this is the hadith. And by the way, this hadith actually constitutes nas for Imam Musa al-Kazem alayhi salam. Because this is Imam Sadiq alayhi salam speaking here. I have actually pinned the hadith. This is from Kitab Al-Ghaiba of Sheikh al-Tusi, under the chapter heading of Ismail, the son of Imam Sadiq, hadith number 8. It's a very long hadith. I wouldn't go through it. It's about the procedures that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam actually took in order to prove to them that his son was actually dead. Now, in regards to Ismail bin Sin, after his death, this is the hadith from Bihar al-Anwar. I have already mentioned this earlier in the previous days. This is from Bihar al-Anwar, volume 47, page 269, where Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, "A son has taken the form of my son Ismail, which appears in his image to mislead people. If Satan doesn't imitate the form of a prophet or successor, whoever says to you that my son Ismail is alive and not dead, then that is the shaitan that has appeared unto him. I still wish to my Lord that he brings back my son to life and that he should remain after me, but my Lord refuses that. And this affair is not for a man from among us to place it where he would. This is a covenant from Allah, and He makes a covenant with whomsoever He wills. Allah has willed that it shall be my son Musa alayhi salam, and He has refused that He shall be, and He has refused that it shall be Ismail. And if Shaitan had wished to imitate the image of my son Musa, he wouldn't be able to at all, and praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we move on. So here the quote under 3b, mid-10th century Ismaili sources report that Imam Sadiq staged his son's death before witnesses to protect him from Abbasid persecution, and that Ismail was then seen in Basra a few days after his supposed death. So I already read the hadith. I think it applies to the same claim that they are making here under 3b. Then they went on to quote Sayyid Hussein Nasr, a renowned 12th scholar, admits that the safety of the successor to Imam Sadiq was a paramount issue, as the Abbasids had threatened to kill whomever was designated as the Imam. So if they actually know this, then why do you not apply, the safety precautions that Imam Sadiq took for Imam Musa al-Kazem? Why do you not succumb to this? Why do you not accept the Imamah of Imam al-Kazem and apply this logic? They are quoting Sayyid Hussein Nasr. The question of the successor to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam having been made particularly difficult by the fact that the Abbasid Caliph al-Mansur had decided to scourge to death whoever was to be chosen officially by the Imam as his successor, whereby hoping to put an end to the Shiite movement. So when we gave them, the will of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, whereby he willed to 5 people, we have a case here that Imam Sadiq actually willed to 5 people, and Ismail was not one of those people. So they quoted Ja'far ibn Mansur al-Yaman. So this is an Ismaili source. I'm not interested in this. It doesn't really interest me. This is their problem. Their own text. So they can say whatever they like. My own concern is to actually touch on 12 Shia sources and the claims they attribute to our books and to our scholars. So under 3C, the title is The 12 Shi'i Hadith Literature Bears Witness to the Fact that People Saw Maulana Ismail after his alleged death. When faced with reports that Ismail was reportedly seen alive after his supposed funeral, the 12th scholar Sheikh as-Saduq, who above was quoted as saying that God changed his mind, misquoted the mean. I proved this yesterday. Sheikh Saduq did never said that God changes his mind. Sheikh Saduq even went on in Kitab in Kamal al-Din, page 69, he even mentioned the hadith of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, that whoever says that Allah acquires new knowledge, he has committed kufr. So Sheikh al-Saduq did not say that. This was proven yesterday in yesterday's presentation, and it's on replay, so if anyone is interested. So this is another false claim which they are actually regurgitating or recycling here. So they said Sheikh al-Saduq reportedly, just a minute. When faced with reports that Ismail was reportedly seen alive after his supposed funeral, the 12th scholar Sheikh al-Saduq, who above, blah, 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 because he was unaware Ismail will die. Like, this is so bad. Like, that Sheikh al-Saduq is saying this. They are regurgitating the same false claim. Sheikh al-Saduq never said that. This is actually defamation. This is called character assassination. This is unjustified. It's unjustifiable for you to attribute a statement to somebody which the person did not actually make. They are still repeating it. So basically, they actually, mention in the report I just read from Bihar al-Anwar about a shaitan taking the image of Ismail. So I think we'll scroll down. So they ask the question here, of course, the existence of the above hadith in 12 books raised the question of why they are there in the first place. Well, they are there in the first place because we actually read in history that there were some people called Ismailis, like yourselves, at some point who denied the death of Ismail alayhi salam. So they are there because Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq actually treated this point and he responded. And the answer that Imam Sadiq gave is what is actually pinned in the link above from Bihar al-Anwar. So this is actually a very silly question to ask. Like, why do you have this hadith in your books? Yeah, we have it because there was an event that took place or an incident that happened whereby certain people claimed, including yourselves, that Ismail was the Imam, and some of you, your predecessors, they claimed that Ismail did not die. So what exactly do you want us, to do? To throw away the evidence? Anyway, they gave, possibilities, some flimsy analysis, which is not actually worth wasting time on. Proof number 4, even if Ismail had died before his father, that does not preclude Ismail's son from becoming Imam on Imam Sadiq's death. And indeed, the succession of Imamah has continued through Muhammad ibn Ismail and in his lineage up to the present Imam. This is a very, very, very big claim they are making here. And of course, it's going to be another, disgrace for them. So just quickly also, just as a reminder, I will pin this link, which actually contains the threat that was actually issued by the Abbasid Caliph against whoever is the successor of Imam Sadiq, that he should be killed. And the Imam actually gave or made a will to 5 people, including the Caliph himself. This is the link. You can please refer to it. This has already been mentioned in previous rooms and previous in the presentations before today. So they are claiming under 4A that they are actually traces, mind the word here, traces of Imam Sadiq appointing both his son Ismail and his grandson Muhammad ibn Ismail in extant 12 Shi'i hadith. So now, this is going to be a very big disgrace for whoever, authored this website, because what they did under this section was to actually misrepresent a hadith whereby a certain companion actually spoke to Imam Musa al-Kazem. I will present the hadith and I will explain it shortly. So before they presented the evidence as usual, they have the so-called academics who are affiliated with their Ismaili Institute. One of them is Farhad Daftari, who is the co-director or the former co-director. He gives the nas for Ismail and Muhammad. So if they want to prove the Imamah of their Imam, their previous Imams. Instead of, getting us evidence from Imam Sadiq, they actually get us evidence from, somebody who is an academic, a secular academic. So I don't know how this actually, proves anything. Like, Nas should be from the Imam, not from some secular academic or even some scholar from another sect. No, it doesn't give any credence to them. Taib. So this guy, who is supposedly 12, look at what he's talking here, what he's saying. He said Muhammad was the eldest son of Ismail, who had at least one other son named Ali. He was also the eldest grandson of Imam Sadiq, and according to Ismaili tradition, was 26 years old at the time of the latter's death. Now, this is a very good confession here, that he was the eldest grandson of Imam Sadiq, and according to some Ismaili tradition, he was 26 years old at the time of Imam Sadiq's death. And, I will give you even another gift here. Imam Baqir, that's the father of Imam Sadiq, that's the great-grandfather of Muhammad ibn Ismail. He actually passed away. He was martyred 3 years after Muhammad ibn Ismail was born. So, in other words, the father of Imam Sadiq witnessed the birth of Ismail's son, Muhammad. So, this is a very important point here that will actually, be used to disprove their claim that in 12 hadith, you will actually find a nas, a supposed nas, for Muhammad ibn Ismail and his father. Taib. So, this guy called Daftari says, furthermore, all sources agree that he was older than his uncle, Musa, by about 8 years. He was I don't know, how age, matters when it comes to Imamah. Anyway, he was the Imam of the Mubarakiyah and the eldest male member of Imam Sadiq's family. After the death of his uncle, Abdullah al-Aftah, he was the eldest after the death of Abdullah al-Aftah, Tayyib. As such, he enjoyed a certain degree of esteem and seniority in this Fatimid branch of the Alid family. It was probably then, not long after al-Sadiq's death, that Ismail left Medina for the east and went into hiding, henceforth acquiring the epithet of al-Maktoum, the hidden. As a result, he was saved from persecution by the Abbasids while continuing to maintain close contact with Mubarakiyah, who, like most other radical Shia groups of the time, were centered in Kufa. Different sources mention various localities and regions as Muhammad's final destination, but it is certain that he first went to southern Iraq and then to Persia. 4a. Maulana Ismail had, during his own lifetime, already appointed his eldest son, Muhammad, as his successor and the Imam after him. We need the evidence from Ismail, not from Daftari, not from Farhad Daftari, not from Paul Walker, not from Madelong, not from Ivanov, not from your employed professors at the Institute of Ismaili Studies. The Nas, I think I would have to, I will have to shut the room chat. So you stop insulting yourselves. Anyway, so as I was saying, you have to provide evidence from the Imam, and this is what constitutes Nas, not from some, professors living in the 20th or 21st century. Anyway, another witness they gave was another nas from Ja'far ibn Mansur, then Ja'far ibn Mansur. Then we come to this main point here, which is highlighted. It's actually in bold. There are traces of Imam Sadiq's appointment of both Imam Ismail and his son Imam Muhammad ibn Ismail in the extant 12 Shi'i hadith that are purportedly about Musa al-Kazem. Do you know what this means? This is an implication here that we are actually misrepresenting the hadith about the nas of, or the nas for Ismail and his son, and we are attributing it to Imam Musa al-Kazem. We will examine this hadith and you will see how these people are so shameless that they are actually lying. They are worse than Abu Huraira. Whoever authored this website, he is worse than Abu Huraira. So, they went on to state that Al-Kulayni reports a tradition where a companion of Musa named Yazid ibn Salih recalls an event where Imam Sadiq met Yazid and his father on the way to pilgrimage. Kulayni reports, on this occasion, Imam as-Sadiq pointed to Musa alayhi salam as his successor, referring to his successor as the gate among the gates of God. So in other words, Imam Sadiq pointed to Musa as his successor, and he mentioned that the successor of Musa alayhi salam will be the gate among the gates of God, as in reference to Imam Rida alayhi salam. Then they went on to say Imam as-Sadiq also stated that the future Imam's son and successor will be the future savior of the Ummah. When Yazid's father asked Imam al-Sadiq whether the successor, the promised savior, was already born, this is not true. There is no indication in this hadith that this companion actually asked whether the Imam was already born. We will read the hadith. The Imam replied that he was born several years ago. Tayyib. I asked him, because in the hadith, Imam Sadiq is talking about an Imam that is yet to be born, an Imam that will be born in future. This is what the hadith contains. Now, what they are trying to attribute to the hadith is that Imam Sadiq is saying the Imam has already been born. The Imam that his grandson, Imam, has already been born. This is not true. We will get to the hadith. Anyway, I will read through. They said, I asked him, is he already born? Wahal wulida? He said, yes, and several years have passed for him. Na'am wa marrat bihi sunun. Tayyib. Even if we are to take this, that they are given, what they are claiming here as true, even if they are actually, what they are claiming here is true, do you know that when it comes, for example, to the age of Imam Rida or to the birth date of Imam Rida, there is actually ikhtilaf? So if there is actually ikhtilaf, it's very much possible that Imam Rida was born in the very lifetime of Imam Sadiq. But anyway, let's go on. They provided a link here. And this link is Ahmad bin Mahran عن محمد بن علي عن أبي الحكيم الأرمني قال حدثنا عبد الله بن إبراهيم بن علي بن عبد الله بن جعفر بن أبي طالب عن يزيد بن صليت الزيدي. طيب. I will get the hadith, the English version of this from Al-Kafi. أحمد بن مهران عن محمد بن علي عن أبي الحكم الأرمني قال حدثني عبد الله بن إبراهيم بن علي بن عبد الله بن جعفر بن أبي طالب عن يزيد بن صليت. The same chain. I will pin this so that you can check it yourself. It says, عن يزيد بن صليت الزيدي قال أبو الحكم وأخبرني عبد الله بن محمد بن عمارة الجرمي عن يزيد بن صليت قال لقيت أبا إبراهيم. So Yazid is saying, I met Abu Ibrahim. Who is Abu Ibrahim? Abu al-Hasan Musa al-Kazem عليه السلام. ونحن نريد العمرة في بعض الطريق, and we are on the way to Umrah in the middle of the road. فقلت جعلت فداك هل تثبت هذا الموضع الذي نحن فيه؟ قال نعم. فهل تثبته أنت؟ قلت نعم. إني أنا وأبي لقينا ها هنا وأنت مع أبي عبد الله ومعه إخوتك. فقال له أبي بأبي أنت وأمي أنتم كلكم أئمة مطهرون والموت لا يعرى منه أحد فأحدث إلي شيئا أحدث به من يخلفني من بعدي فلا يضل. قال نعم يا أبا عبد الله هؤلاء ولدي. Translation. So Yazid bin Salit said, may Allah take my soul in your service. He met Abu Ibrahim on the way to Umrah, so he said, may Allah take my soul in service to your cause. Is the matter which we deal established? The Thakalain.net translation is a bit poor, so I'm reading from it. So he's saying that is the Imamah established? He said yes. But are you established family? The Imam asked him. That's Imam Musa al-Kazem. He said, yes, I and my father met you at this place. So the narration starts, the narrator Yazid, he's talking to Imam Musa al-Kazem. He's recollecting that he met Imam Musa al-Kazem with his father at this place. Not Ismail. He's talking to Imam Musa al-Kazem. So how the Ismaili website, they are claiming this hadith applies to Ismail, only God knows. Only Allah knows. And this is very bad misrepresentation of our text. Even, wallah, I've not even witnessed Wahhabis doing this. Anyway, further on, he said, yes, but are you established family? I said, yes, I and my father met you at this place with Abu Abdullah, that's Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, with his brothers, that's the brothers of Imam Musa alayhi salam. My father said to him, now Yazid is reporting what happened when his father was present and Imam Sadiq was present. He said, my father said to him, may Allah take my soul and the souls of my parents in your service for your cause. You, all of you are purified Imams. However, no one immune from death. In other words, كل نفس ذائقة الموت, every soul shall taste death. Say to me few things that I may say to my predecessors, so that they may not go astray. The Imam alayhi salam said to the father of Yazid, O Abu Abdullah, these are my sons, and this one is their master. He pointed to you. So Yazid is confirming, Yazid ibn Salid, he's confirming here that what? He's talking to Imam Musa, that Imam Sadiq, I remember, pointed to you. So how do you apply this hadith and claim that it is about Ismail and his son, Muhammad ibn Ismail? Let's read further. So he pointed to you. He has been taught laws, understanding, generosity, and the knowledge of what people need and how to settle their disputes in the matters of religion and the worldly matters. In him there are good moral qualities and good answers. He is a gate of the gates of Allah, the Most High, the Most Holy, or the Most Holy and the Most High. And in him there is another quality that is better than all of this. So my father asked what that quality is. May Allah take my soul and the souls of my parents in your cause. The Imam said, the most holy God, that's Allah, the Most High, will bring about from him the savior of this ummah. So let me read this part in Arabic so that, we don't, nobody will say, oh, Sakalen.net is making a mistake. So I will check it here. So I will start where the father of Yazid asked Imam Sadiq, or he told him that, there is death. He said, بأبي أنت وأمي أنتم كلكم أئمة مطهرون والموت لا يعرى منه أحد فأحدث إلي شيئا أحدث به من يخلفني من بعدي فلا يضل. قال نعم يا أبا عبد الله هؤلاء يا أبا عبد الله هؤلاء ولدي وهذا سيدهم وأشار إليك. That's so Imam Musa. وقد علم الحكم والفهم والسخاء والمعرفة بما يحتاج إليه الناس وما اختلفوا فيه من أمر دينهم ودنياهم وفيه حسن الخلق وحسن الجواب وهو باب من أبواب الله عز وجل وفيه أخرى خير من هذا كله. فقال له أبي وما هي بأبي أنت وأمي؟ يخرج الله منه غوث هذه الأمة وغياثها وعلمها ونورها وفضلها وحكمتها خير مولود وخير ناشئ يحقن الله عز وجل به الدماء. He's talking about Imam Rida here, that Allah will bring forth in the future tense, Allah will bring forth from Imam Musa somebody who will carry out certain actions. This is what the narrator is saying. Nowhere in this hadith, that, that Imam Sadiq is confirming the birth, of somebody who has already been born. Nothing like that. So I don't know how these people are making such a claim. So even in what the link they actually gave from Usul al-Kafi, from the Sharh of al-Mazandarani, the same thing, it says بأبي أنت وأمي كلكم أئمة مطهرون والموت لا يعرى منه أحد فأحدث إلي شيئا. This is from Shia online library. فأحدث إلي شيئا أحدث به من يخلفني من بعد فلا يضل. قال نعم يا أبا عبد الله، هؤلاء ولدي وهذا سيدهم، وأشار إليك، وقد علم الحكمة والفهم والسخاء والمعرفة بما يحتاج إليه الناس، وما اختلفوا فيه من أمر دينهم ودنياهم، وفيه حسن الخلق وحسن الجواب، وهو باب من أبواب الله، وفيه أخرى خير من هذا كله. فقال لي وما هي بأبي أنت وأمي؟ قال يخرج الله منه غوث هذه الأمة. يخرج, Allah will bring forth from him. Now if Imam Musa al-Kazem is prophesying a son that will be brought out from one of his own sons, if Imam Sadiq is making a prophecy that from one of his own sons who will succeed him, Allah will bring his grandson who will be the Imam and the savior of the Ummah. He will unite the people and all that. If Imam Sadiq was saying this, Imam Sadiq would not be saying Allah will bring in the future. He will not be talking about the future, that this person, Allah will bring forth from him. He will tell us that, the son has already been born. Because Muhammad ibn Ismail, he was born in the time of Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. In other words, Muhammad ibn Ismail was already alive. But here, Imam Sadiq is talking about somebody who is not alive. So how did they actually reach this conclusion that this hadith in Al-Kafi, this is actually about Muhammad ibn Ismail and his father, or Ismail and his son? This is volume 1, tacit and explicit testimony as proof of Abul Hasan al-Rida, divine authority over the people. Like, how do you do this? Like, how? This is actually very shameful. Like, the hadith is clear. I don't even need, to continue further. It's very long. So I think, this actually warrants an apology. Whoever, did this, whoever wrote this, he should actually apologize. This is very shameful. Tayyib. We go to their next point. This their claim that Imam, there are traces, small, not too much, traces of, how did they even say? That there are traces of Imam Sadiq's appointment of both Ismail and his son in 12 hadith. Ya aib al-shum. Shame. This is very shameful. The hadith doesn't say that. Taib. We go on to 4b. They are quoting a Sunni alim, Abdul Karim Sharistani. And Sharistani, if you check his wordings here, he said, the Ismailis hold that Ismail was the designated Imam, as the sons of Ja'far also agreed. He's quoting what Ismailis say. Under 4b, they are attributing what he is attributing to Ismailis to him. Under the title, Abdul Karim Sharistani, the Sunni Muslim historian of religions, agrees that the imamate remains among descendants of Ismail. How do you say this? The man is not saying, he is not confirming. The man is simply transmitting what your people were saying. So, wallah, this is very shameful. 4c, Hamid ad-Din Kirmani, okay, this is Ismaili affair. This is not my business. Elias, proof number 5, Elias Shi'i hadith lack the mention of 12 Imams, but instead predict the Fatimid lineage of Imams. MashaAllah. So let's read this. This is another allegation which will be squashed. This will be squashed, and it will be very shameful And they actually, the Salafis, they come to this point, to this website, and they have made this argument to us. They have actually stated this point, which is actually baseless, and even the Ismailis cannot back it up, and we will prove this. So they claim that our earliest Shia hadith lack the mention of 12 Imams, mashallah, but instead predict the Fatimid Ismaili lineage of Imams, mashallah. The main proof for the 12 line of Imams has always been the large number of Sunni narrations prophesying the coming of 12 Imams. Now, I don't know what is wrong with this. They are starting by succumbing to the truth. That, the 12ers, they've always, cited Sunni hadith to back up their claims. Sayyid, why are you complaining about this? Is there any Sunni hadith, for example, where Rasulullah said the Imams will be 7, or the Imams will be 49, or the Imams will be 11 or 14? No. So, why are you complaining? You're succumbing to the truth in a tacit way. In order to muddy the water and try to smuggle in their narrative while they are actually making an incoherent argument. So the main proof for the 12 line of Imams has always been the large number of Sunni narrations prophesying the coming of 12 Imams. In brackets, this hadith where the Prophet purportedly says that 12 commanders or caliphs will come after him. In Sheikh as-Saduq's Kamal al-Din, he continually argues against the Ismailis and Zaydis and other Shia sects on the basis of the 12 Imam narrations. However, the pre-occultation 12 Shia hadith books have a striking lack of narrations about 12 Imams. The two main surviving works of 12 Shi'ism, which predate the occultation of the 12th Imam of the 12ers, are Basair ad-Darajat of Al-Qummi and Kitab al-Mahasin of Al-Barqi. The former book is an extensive tract on the Fada'il, noble attributes of the Imams, yet nowhere in it do we find a single reference to there only been 12 Imams. This is the claim. So at this point, they've already made it that there is no trace in Basair al-Darajat about 12 Imams. Khalas, you've made your claim. What did they do? They use brackets. There are only 5 scattered references to Muhaddathun in chapters not at all related to the number of Imams. Now we will see if this is true. So they actually made a statement that there is nowhere to find a single reference about 12 Imams in Basair ad-Darajat. This is a straightforward claim. Then in brackets, they are right. They are mentioning that you have 5 scattered references to 12 Muhaddathun. In chapters not at all related. Ya akhi, Basair al-Darajat is a hadith book basically. So what are you talking? What chapters are you talking about? Then listen to this. Kitab al-Mahasin is a text mainly dealing with the issues of akhlaq, but does not contain an extensive introductory discussion on Imamah. MashaAllah. So you tell us that Kitab al-Mahasin is about ethics, is about akhlaq, and then you come tell us that it doesn't contain introduction, or but does contain an extensive introductory discussion on Imamah. I don't understand this. This book is a book of akhlaq, not a book on Imamah. Now, the absence of evidence does not mean there is no evidence. If the evidence is absent in this book, which is a book of ethics, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't prove anything here. But they are trying to use this. And we will examine Basair al-Darajat And I will show the 4 hadiths. There is one hadith which does not relate to Imams, but there are 4 hadiths in Basair al-Darajat, which was written in the time of Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam, 4 hadiths in Basair al-Darajat about those who are inspired. The inspired 12 people from the family of the Prophet. So let me read on. It says, Kitab al-Mahasin, okay, we find, once again, one finds absolutely no reference to 12 Imams in this text, even in the chapter on the significance of the number 12. The only other books, okay, so this is much. Let's deal with this. Let's see if it is true what they are claiming here. This is Basair al-Darajat, page 340. Sorry, Basair al-Darajat, page 340. I pin. So if you check here, there's a hadith. It says, حدثنا علي بن حسان عن موسى بن بكر عن حمران عن أبي جعفر إمام باكر عليه السلام قال رسول الله من أهل بيتي 12 محدثا. Very clear that from my household there are 12 inspired individuals. So how do you tell me there's no mention here of 12 Imams? Even if the word Imam is not explicitly used, it uses the word muhaddath, or somebody who speaks through inspiration. There are 12. So who are these 12? Anyway, let's go on. This is page 341 from Basair al-Darajat again. You scroll down, it says, قال يسير في صباح واحد مسيرة سنة كالشمس إذا أمرت إنها اليوم غير مأمورة، ولكن إذا أمرت يقطع 12 شمسا و12 قمرا و12 مشرقا و12 مغربا و12 برا و12 بحرا و12 عالما. فقال فما بقي في يد اليماني فما درى ما يقول وكف أبو عبد الله. So basically there's symbolism here of the 12, and it specifically mentions the coming of 12 scholars. So how again do you say there is no mention about the Imams? In the previous one it mentions 12 inspired men. Here, 12 inspired, knowledgeable people. We go to another page from Basair al-Darajat. This is from page 339. And it's also the same thing in Sunni Hadith. You find the word Amir, Umara, Khulafa. You have, just a minute, let me just open this Hadith from the Musannaf. So for example, in the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba, which was written in the time of Imam Kazem, it says, يكون في هذه الأمة 12 خليفة. So you have the word Khalifa that is used in Sunni Hadith. You have the word Umara. You have the word Nuqaba. All these words have been found in Sunni Hadith. This actually goes to imply that in Sunni Hadith, these are not necessarily contradictions, but instead there is the possibility that Rasulullah, he actually used these words in different occasions in order to predict the 12 people who will come from his household after him. طيب, we continue with Basair al-Darajat. That was just a quick glance at the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba. This is volume 6, page 363. This is 325. Again, the word 12 alims from the family of the Prophet. I will pin this. Again mentioned. Type. This is clear. So the claim that nothing is mentioned in Basair al-Darajat falls apart. False claim. Fake news. Type. There is another fantastic claim here. It says, the only other books that were purportedly compiled before the occultation are known as the 400 source books, that's the Usul al-Arba'iyah. These source books are the basis for the 12 Shia Hadith literature. Scholars who authored one of these books are usually held in the highest esteem by 12 Shia scholars. In one of these texts, we find the most fascinating reference to the number of Imams. This quote is found in the Asl of Muhammad ibn al-Muthanna al-Hadrami. It says, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, indeed, after the Prophet, there will be 7 inheritors. Now, if you check this quotation on the Ismaili website of this hadith from the Asl of Muhammad ibn Muthanna al-Hadrami, what have they done? They did not even mention the chain. They did not mention the chain for this hadith. I will provide a link containing the chain and the analysis of the chain. And it doesn't really need much time, it's just a quick Google search, you find this. This is the link to the analysis. It's an online website. And you can verify the information if you want. So they are claiming here that Imam Sadiq said, I have only mentioned this so that you may be from the witnesses of the earth. After the messenger, there are 7 awsiya from us. This is Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, the 6th Imam, saying, after the Prophet, there are 7 awsiya from us. Now, if you count from After the Prophet, you count Imam Ali, you count Fatima alayha salam, till Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, who was the sixth Imam, you have 7 awsiya. The word awsiya means heirs. Fatima she inherited her father, and we talk about fadak because she's a rightful inheritor of her father. So you have 7 over here. So we continue. Imams whose obedience is obligatory. Then, this is the second part. The 7th of them is the Qa'im. If Allah willed, or if He has willed. The 7th of whom? Of them. Who is them? I will suppose them over here includes the Prophet, Imam Ali, and all the Imams till Imam Baqir. Why? Because he did not say, and the 7th of us, for example, is the Qa'im. So you see, this hadith in this asl, it is subject to ta'wil. The issue of the number 7, how it is mentioned, it can be analyzed in different ways. And this will actually be emphasized in a bit. So then the hadith goes on to say, Allah is almighty wise. He brings forward whatever He wills and delays whatever He wills. And He is the Almighty. Now, on this, the 7th of them, there's Sabi'uhum al-Qa'im. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq is talking of them. That's from the Prophet to Fatima alayhi salam to Imam Ali, al-Hasan wal-Hussein, all the way to what? Imam Baqir alayhi salam. Then after Imam Baqir, he's the 7th Ma'asum. If you add another 7, that's Imam Mahdi. This is subject to ta'wil. And we have clear ahadith about the 7th from the time of Al-Baqir bin the Qa'im. And this will be shown. Let's move along. The hadith says, then after the Qa'im, there will be 11 Mahdis from the children of Al-Hussein. So I said, who is the 7th? May Allah make me your ransom, your command is upon the head and eyes. I will accept whatever you say. He said, I said it 3 times. He said, then after me is your Imam and your Qa'im, if Allah has willed. So over here, after the Qa'im, there will be 11 Mahdis. Now, why does it mention 11 here? Why? Because we believe that after Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, there is the Raj'ah. We believe Imam Ali will return, Imam Hassan will return, Imam Hussein, all the Imams, the other 11 Imams, they will return. Now, it says from the descendants of Hussein. Why? Just for example, we say there are 12 Imams from the progeny of the Prophet. But Imam Ali, he's one of the 12. But he is not a descendant of the Prophet, but he is generalized. And this is allowed. Mujamala, this is allowed in Arabic. We say this all the time, that there are 12 Imams from the progeny of the Prophet. Or you have 49 Imams from the progeny of the Prophet. You start counting from Imam Ali. Is Imam Ali a descendant of Rasulullah? No, he's not. But you include him. It's a figure of speech. Tayyib. Let's go on. So now, the chain of the narrators. It says 2 important points must be kept in mind. This is from the link I have pinned here. The analysis from ahlulbayt.wordpress.com. Hamid ibn Ziyad ad-Dahqan mentioned in the chain was a Waqifi, even though he was thiqah. Tayyib. Abu Ja'far Ahmad bin Zayd al-Azdi, mentioned in the chain, is majhul. Then you have Ja'far ibn Dhurayh. Sorry, just a minute. Ja'far ibn Muhammad bin Sharih al-Hadrami, majhul. He's also majhul. So you have like several majahil in the chain. Then you have a Waqifi in the chain. Then you have Ja'far bin Muhammad and Abdullah bin Talha al-Nahdi. It says مثل هذا الحديث حديث زريح إلا أنه زاد فيه. So he added to the narration. إنما حدثتك بهذا الحديث لتكون من شهود الله في أرض الله لفلان ابني. Then you have Abdullah bin Talha al-Nahdi, majhul. So you have like 4 majahil. You have 1 waqifi in the chain. And the analysis is, even if you go, for example, to, just a second, this is Mir'atul Uqul. This is Mir'atul Uqul, volume 4, page 102, on this hadith. Let's see what Allama al-Majlisi said. Allama al-Majlisi said, وأقول, see what he says. بما قال أبو عبد الله عليه السلام قال المحدث الأسترأبادي رحمه الله كأنه إشارة إلى ما ذكره الكشي في ترجمة ابن القاسم أبي بصير، حيث قال محمد بن عمران سمعت أبا عبد الله يقول منا 8 محدثون سابعهم القائم. فقام أبو بصير بن قاسم وقبل رأسه وقال سمعته من أبي جعفر منذ سنين. So this hadith is actually an ishara to the 12 Imams, that there is another version which Al-Kishi has mentioned, and the hadith goes from Imam Sadiq that among us are 8 muhaddathun. Now, Imam Sadiq is the 6th Imam. He's the 6th Imam. You have Sayyidah Fatima and the Prophet. So now you have 8. So the 7th of them is what? He is the Qa'im. This is what he's saying. So what Allama al-Majlisi is saying here? He said, وَأَقُولُ هذا الخبر وأمثاله من مفتريات الواقفية، وقد أورد الشيخ رحمه الله أخبارهم في كتاب الغيبة وأجاب عنها على أنه لو صح لأمكن وردوه في شأن الباقر عليه وروّدوه في شأن الباقر عليه السلام إلى آخر الأئمة وسابعهم القائم، ما أن التشويش الخبر ظاهر وتصحيح 8 يحتاج إلى
تكلف شديد. So Allama al-Majlisi is stating that this hadith, if it is to be accepted, which is mentioned from Al-Baqir alayhi salam, that the seventh from Al-Baqir will be the Qa'im or the Mahdi, he said, this one will not even, it's not even, working well for the Waqifi. That this such a hadith are actually their fabrications, because it is so obvious that the hadith has actually been tampered with. And if you actually go to Kitab al-Ghaiba, under the chapter heading of factors of the appearance of the Waqifi sect, and also evidence of the imamate of Imam Musa al-Kazem and refutation of the Waqifi, you see Sheikh al-Tusi, he gives his analysis under the fabrications of the Waqifiyya. That's the ahadith of the Waqifis. Now one would expect, if there are such ahadith, which actually we have, like for example in Al-Kafi, there's actually a beautiful, sorry, just a minute, I think in, just a second. Yeah, so this is the hadith from Imam al-Baqir, and it is very reliable. It's mu'tabar. So this hadith says, this is from Kitab al-Ghaiba of al-Nu'mani also. Muhammad bin Abdullah from it goes to Ali bin Abi Hamza, who said, I was with Abi Basir and there was a freed slave of Abu Ja'far alayhi salam al-Baqir with us. So the freed slave said, I heard Abu Ja'far saying, from us are 12 muhaddath. The seventh of my descendants is the Qa'im. So Abu Basir stood up facing him and said, I bear witness that I heard Abu Ja'far saying that 40 years ago. So this is Imam al-Baqir saying the seventh of his descendant is the Qa'im. So when you see the word seven and the more or less like permutations that have been used here, they actually support our case here. But let's see what our Ismaili friends have to say. Let's see the gymnastics they play here. So they go on to say, the fulfillment of the above hadith is the exact unfolding of the Ismaili lineage of Imams. The seven inheritors and the Qa'im are the first seven Ismaili Imams. Then they mentioned Imam Ali, Imam Hussein, Imam Zain al-Abidin, Imam Baqir, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, Ismail, Muhammad ibn Ismail. Who is missing in this list? Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. So what do we do here? You behaving like Ibn Taymiyyah basically. You cherry pick the names in order to make a list of 12 caliphs. You cherry pick the name of Muawiyah, I don't know who and who. Ibn Taymiyyah gives his list. Another scholar gives his own list of Sunni caliphs, and they say, oh, these are the 12. Like, what happened to over 30 caliphs that you've had in your history, in the history of the caliphate, from the Rashidun to Banu Umayyah, to Banu al-Abbas, to the Mamluks, to the Ottomans, to the Seljuks, to whoever and whoever. So how do you actually, cherry pick your caliphs and give a list of 12 imams? Like, this doesn't make sense. The Ismailis are doing the same. And the hadith of the Prophet, the Al-Hassan wal-Hussein, they are two imams, whether they sit or stand. So how can you actually, remove the title of imam from Imam al-Hassan, and, you just feel like, given a list the way you like? Like, this is not proper. Anyway, let's read further. So they went on, they said, the 11 Mahdis from the progeny of Al-Hussein are the next 11 Ismaili Imams, including the 3 concealed Imams and the 8 Fatimid Imam Caliphs. The Fatimids, they had 14 Caliphs. So how come you just cherry pick 8 of them? Because Abdullah al-Wafi, Ahmad al-Taqi, Hussein al-Radi, these were not, they were not, what do you call it? They were not part of the Fatimids. You have Abdullah al-Mahdi Billah, he's the first Fatimid Caliph. This guy, you start with him. So he gives himself the title of the Mahdi. Al-Wafi didn't give himself the title of the Mahdi. But even if, at least I'm judging from this list they are given here, they are calling them, how was Abdullah al-Wafi, for example, a Mahdi? Muhammad ibn Ismail, how was he a Mahdi? How do the qualities of Mahdawiyya actually fit them? But even if your Fatimid caliphs, they were 14 in number, and today, are you going to tell me, your Aga Khan, for example, who is the 49th Imam, are you going to tell me he doesn't carry the title of Mahdi? Because in the end, if you have a 49th Imam, where is the prophecy for this? If you have a 49th Imam and you using a hadith narrated by a Waqifi who does not even accept Ismail as an Imam, so if you actually trying to apply this, on what basis do you want to convince me that this hadith is for your Imams when you count in 49 Imams? You always tell us that, you have a living Imam. So how is this actually applicable to you? You're just clutching at straws in order to just try to, make sense somehow, but you're not making sense in the end. All right, let's go on. Of course, now they quote their, the Sahabi of the Aga Khan, Paul Walker, talking about the phrase Khulafa al-Rashidun al-Mahdiyun or whatever. We go to proof number 6. With the exception of Nizari, Ismaili, Imamah, all other Shia Imamate lineages have hidden Imams. This contradicts the definition of Imamah, which requires the Imam always to be present and manifest mubin. In this sense, if we are going to use Hadith al-Thaqalain, you believe that your Imam can actually abrogate the Quran. He abrogates the Sharia. So you are not holding on to the 2 weighty things. I can also make this argument. You're not holding on to the 2 weighty things because you have more or less discarded the Quran. So if we have a hidden Imam or a concealed Imam, it's in line with Hadith al-Thaqalain. because Rasulullah predicted 12 and he mentioned Hadith al-Thaqalain. So it only goes to the understanding that they are actually either going to be till the end of the world, or there will be a point, even if the world is going to, the time between their birth and Qiyamah is going to, there's going to be a gap. It means the time is going to be prolonged, and the last will have to have a very long life. This is the implication here. So I think this is so far everything from the Ismaili website, which at least I believe we've covered here. I don't know if there's anything left, but I doubt. So inshallah, tomorrow we will touch on the issues of relating to Abdullah al-Aftah. So far we've covered everything, so I believe we've moved on from touching on the Ismaili claims on their website. So if no one has anything to say, we'll end the room inshallah. Brother Hudson, do you have anything to say?
لا أخي لا جزاك الله خير والله just you have said enough plenty.
وإياكم inshallah. So if no one has anything to say, we could end the room. Hassan, Assalamu alaikum. Do you have anything?
Jazakallah, wallah, you've been doing really good. I've been listening.
وإياكم inshallah. So Jazakum Allah khair. Thank you very much for your time. And inshallah tomorrow we would have we'll touch on Abdullah al-Aftah, and possibly after that we can have the conclusion, and we'll come to the end of this series of presentations on the Imamah of Imam al-Kazem alayhi salam. Jazakumullah khairan, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.